Am I the a-hole for not wanting to give my brother my inheritance? I want to start this by saying this. I am not my parents' favorite child. As much as this might sound absurd or even biased, which might be, there's no other way to describe my family. I'm the youngest sibling, third child, and I have a sister, oldest, and a brother. My sister and my brother are just a bit older than me, at 23 and 21, while I just turned 18 last August. Throughout my life, I've always known my parents didn't particularly like me. They would treat my siblings a lot better, give them better clothes and gifts, and even gave them allowances. I was never treated badly, but I was never given anything like that. To be honest, I don't even remember the last time my parents gave me a gift for my birthday, or even congratulated me for that matter. This was the reason I started working as a part-timer since I turned 13. Washing cars, cutting grass, washing driveways, etc. That's how I managed to have some money should I need or buy things I wanted. For example, while my parents gave my siblings laptops once they got to high school, I needed to buy my own. Which is fine. They don't need to give me anything. I'm not entitled to it. But it made me very self-conscious about myself. Now to the main point. My grandfather was a very kind man, and when he passed away, he left in his will. I'm not really sure about how this works, as I know almost nothing about the law. Inheritances for his grandchildren, my siblings and myself, to finance our studies, college housing, etc. As I understand, this money would only be possible to be used after the person is 18. Now, my sister went to college and is almost graduating. My brother, however, has changed his course 4 times in the last 2 years, and every time he did that, there was a large cost associated with it, especially since he aimed for expensive colleges. Now he spent a large part of his inheritance, but probably won't be able to finance any course to the end. This is my main problem. My parents came to me and asked me to give my brother my part of the inheritance, as he has had that problem. Thing is, I'll be taking the college entrance exams in November/December, and by giving him this inheritance, I won't be able to do that, as I won't be able to afford college at all. I told them it was absurd, and it wasn't my fault that he wasted his part of the inheritance. Their answer was, "He's your brother, and he needs help. He'll help you pay for your studies once he graduates." That means I would need to postpone college for at least 4 to 5 years. I obviously don't want to do that, and told my parents that it was my decision. As you would assume, they didn't take that lightly. They've taken to call me an ungrateful child and an a-hole for not thinking about family. I'm constantly being shunned in my house, to the point that it's making me feel like a trash of a person. Am I such a monster? Now for the top comments. Not an a-hole. I strongly suspect that your brother wouldn't help you if, not when, he eventually graduates. The money was left to you for your education. You shouldn't feel any guilt for using it for its intended purpose. Yep, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. You'll never give Opie the money. Not the a-hole. This is the money you got and it's yours. You aren't obligated to contribute it to your brother. From the description of your post, I don't think he would help you finance your studies either. Help has to be bilateral, and it doesn't sound like he endeavored to help you throughout your life or defended you when you were in a bad position in comparison to him. You had to sustain yourself during your life, and work hard in order to achieve what you have. You deserve to have a prepaid college and focus on school now. Your parents lack any say in what you allocate the money for. Not stay home. And tell your parents if they do touch your part of the inheritance that is meant for your schooling, you'll take legal action against both them and your brother. I know that sounds harsh, but if they're treating you like crap and now want to screw you out of your money, fight back. This is very important to inform them of this before they take/steal it. Send your parents an email referring to your proposition to give your inheritance to your brother, as he's responsibly squandered his own. You are formally telling them you do not give permission, and will take any and all legal action if you find at 18 the penny is missing. They may take it anyway, and claim you were happy to gift it. Ensure you have proof now that is not the case, and scare them off first. Not stay home. Honestly, Opie should go visit a lawyer. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help pay for my half-brother's LVAD? Others won't help unless I do. I, male 34, come from a highly dysfunctional family. I didn't realize that when I was younger. I had 3 other siblings, biological and half. My dad, rest in peace, was not a good man. He got married right after my mom died and had my 2 half-brothers. My stepmother and I don't have the best relationship. Heck, I haven't seen her since I graduated high school. I only saw her at my father's funeral 7 years ago. My dad was mad at me for leaving home and not acting like a family member, when all he did was ignore me and my brother and spoil his younger boys. I was about to leave town, but my stepmother then called to invite me along with my older bio brother to attend my father's will hearing. We attended and the whole family was there, including my younger half-brothers who didn't even say condolences. My stepmom decided to do the will reading, and a lawyer was present. To my stepmom, the house had all of my father's personal possession. To my older half-brother Eric, my father's summer home and my father's classic car. To my youngest half-brother Morgan, $250,000 at a mechanic shop. Then to my biological older brother James and I, Dad's golf clubs, his old camera, cookbooks, and few shelves to keep them. James and I were stunned. James went hysteric yelling, saying someone had tampered with a will. But I replied that no, it's just Dad being a narcissistic a-hole punishing us for not playing family. James and I struggled a lot with finances for years, while our two half-siblings got luxury and sources of income. I stayed low contact for years after. I have decent aunts/uncles, but kept hearing about Eric's disease. I heard he lost his summer home and was struggling with money for medical bills. Then my uncle called recently saying Eric is very sick, and I needed to attend a family meeting to put money together for his LVAD. I said, why not his brother pay? And uncle said he refused to pay till all brothers contribute equally, which is fair. I asked, fair how? When James and I received nothing compared to my half-siblings, but he said my problem is with Dad, not them. I found the device is worth over $100,000, and I told him I'm not attending and won't help with anything. My dad's family got involved, saying Eric is suffering, and lost most of his belongings and that I should help. James agreed to help, but I refused, which made me feel more pressured. They told me Morgan won't pay till all brothers contribute equally, and that by saying no, I was ruining it. Not today, home. Tell Morgan he'll contribute to our entire inheritance, and to be fair, he can do the same. And in the effort of fairness, I'm sure Morgan gave OP $125,000. It'd have the value of the mechanics shop right after the will reading, right? Not today, home. Sounds like Morgan is trying to guilt and shame everyone to pay for his brother's treatment. Why would you bear any responsibility to pay for their medical treatment? Are they paying your bills? Have they ever? Where were they when you needed help? Sure, it would be kind and selfless to do so, but they are not asking for kindness, but expecting your payment and applying under pressure to get it. Not cool. Also, you are not a saint, but a human trying to support yourself in a tough world. Why should anyone but your immediate family expect you to support them financially? Also, I hate the response your issues with Dad. Well, when Dad's will was unfair, did they ever think to maybe try to make it right by sharing anything from their inheritance with you? Or let me guess, they took the goods and ran. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to co-sign for my brother's mortgage? My brother has never been great with money, and neither was his wife. They recently had their third child, and in a 2-bedroom apartment. It's been crazy, so they decided to purchase a home. They have a large dog, and renting is very difficult, almost impossible with 3 children and a dog, so they've been stuck in that 2-bedroom for 4 years. My brother actually makes a pretty good amount of money, over $100,000, but is terrible at self-control, and they usually live paycheck to paycheck. So they saved 20% for a home and got an accepted offer for a duplex, but the bank won't lend to them because of his credit card debt. I don't know exactly how much, she said it was around $40,000, and his bad credit history. My parents aren't able to borrow more money from the bank as they have their own mortgage, and they are now all looking to me to sign for my brother's mortgage. I have an apartment but it's mostly paid off, so I could help them and maybe the banks would okay them then. But I'm scared my brother will stop paying or be late on his payments, but my credit will suffer. I work in an industry that does credit checks for employment, so a bad credit could affect my future job prospects. And I'm getting a mortgage myself as I don't plan on being in my apartment forever. He has begged me and asked our parents to beg me, but I don't trust his self-control when it comes to his money. My mother yelled at me that her grandchildren are all crammed together in a tiny apartment, when I could just lend my credit to them and I wouldn't even have to pay anything. But I feel like I'll end up responsible for the debt if it doesn't get paid. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Do not do this. Do not do this. No, no, no. Do not do this. You will end up owing money. Your brother won't pay. You won't be able to or won't be notified. The bank will repossess the house. It will be sold for less than the outstanding balance, and you will be on the hook for the remaining amount. If the house is destroyed or sells for far less than he owes, you can end up nearly paying for the entire amount of the house with nothing to show for it. This is just a bad idea all around. Not today home. Anyone that gives you crap can co-sign for him instead. 100%. And mom saying Opie should just share their good credit is a huge a-hole. This can damage someone's entire future, and brother is clearly a bad risk. A bad risk. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for threatening a lawsuit against my daughter-in-law? Hi, I am a grandma and I own a pretty good business in accounting. I'm not filthy rich, but I surely have a good amount of money and I've set aside a lot of money for my grandson for college, or for a house if he decides not to go to college. Every year for his birthday for the past 8 years, I've given him around $800 a year for Christmas and his birthday so he can enjoy himself. It's quite a hefty sum of money, but he's a great child, and I believe he deserves the money. He is 15 at the moment. Well, recently came forward and told me that for 5 years my daughter-in-law has stolen a lot of money from him, and some from my son as well. It turned out that she was spending a lot of money to herself. I decided to pretend that my grandson's money would be going towards college funds. It was usually through gift cards, so how would it even go towards a college in the first place? Not only this, but apparently he was barely even fed and didn't get basic necessities a lot of the time. 6 years ago, she broke up with my son and dated a man whose salary was well enough to make sure my grandson was getting what he needs. They weren't in poverty. I was furious. Not only was the money I gave my grandson to have fun being used by someone who I didn't even like in the first place, but my grandson was being neglected when they could have given him the basic necessities. I recently emailed my daughter-in-law, telling her how much she owes me and if she doesn't pay it back by the end of the year, I'm getting my lawyers involved. Well, she was furious and started using the fact that her boyfriend is a military sniper as a way to threaten me into dropping the charges. I told her I refused to do so and ignored her after that, knowing if she continued to threaten me, all she's doing is incriminating herself. My other son, who is also an employee of mine, said I was being too harsh on her and should have just let it go, and that I already have enough money as is to pay him back. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add. Before I get asked about this, yes, CPS was involved. There's already a case against her, but this is out of CPS realm entirely. Grandson lives with my son already, but official custody arrangements haven't been given out yet, and they aren't divorced. If she is bragging about him being a military sniper, I can guarantee you that he is in fact not a military sniper. Edit. I'm so sorry, I forgot to tell you that you are 100% not a a-hole. Your intentions are to keep your grandson safe. Definitely speak to a lawyer to know what rights you may or may not have. Could a daughter-in-law and her military sniper boyfriend get in trouble for her threats? If he is in the military, that seems like something they would take issue with. Just a quick side note. Stop sending literally any money or gift cards to your grandson. Instead, just put money in an account for him and let him know. He's old enough to understand and value this. If you do get him a gift, make it a physical gift and not money/gift card. As for the money that was already taken, it might be difficult to get any of that back without documentation. If you have a lawyer, it's worth a conversation though. See what he or she thinks of it. I've stopped already. I plan on putting all future funds in his college savings account until he's 18. Any gifts from now on will be clothing, or me buying things for him while he is right there with me so he can pick out what he wants. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for never buying gifts for my ex's step-kids? Ex and I have 2 kids together. Our daughter is 15 and our son is 13. Our breakup was pretty nasty, and custody is pretty complicated ever since. Ex decided without telling me that he wanted to be a stay-at-home dad and quit his job after the birth of our daughter. It was a rocky time for us, but I had no issue with him staying home. He said he would talk to me first in the future and we moved on. But he was an awful stay-at-home parent. He didn't cook or clean, refused to go back to work, and would leave all the general chores to me. He took decent care of the kids, and that was the most important thing. It was just how little he invested into anything else. Then I found out he was only married to me because of my success and paycheck, so I divorced him. At first he was supposed to get equal custody, but then the judge found out he was lying about his ability to get a job so he could get child and spousal support, which he didn't qualify for the latter anyway. But the former would be based on his income. And he did have a good job after I kicked him out, so it wasn't possible. Anyway, I ended up with primary and he ended up with every other weekend, which increased after he realized I wasn't going to support him. He got married 5 years ago. His wife has 5 of her own kids, but my kids get along okay-ish with them. They feel like they don't really have much in common with them, and they complain about the cramped space in their dads, but no huge problem with anyone. I never bought for step-kids. I always felt it was X's responsibility to do it with our kids. He always complained and I ignored it. But in the last year and a half, it's been more and more complaints. Right before the start of everything shutting down, I got my kids a Switch each so they could play games easier. Both them and I love the game. Then I got a family console for the new gen last year, though I only got that in June of this year. X knows about the stuff I have bought, and he's livid that I buy the stuff for our kids, but never give gifts to his step-kids. Or as he put it, buy gifts from our kids to his step-kids. He thinks it should be my job, since it would be extra gifts and more money spent on his step-kids, who have nobody but him and his wife who care. It's caused a lot more tension of late. I feel like this is just him trying to use me again. But these are kids, so I wonder, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your ex is being ridiculous. It's not your responsibility to buy anything for step-kids. Not the a-hole. You can't demand that you'll buy them stuff. It's not your liability to sustain the step-kids. You don't have a familial affiliation with them whatsoever. It sounds like your ex-husband is jealous of the things you can provide for your kids because of your lucrative income and only 2 kids. Maybe it feels like there is an expectation of him to buy those things too. They always keep them here, with the exception of friends' houses. I don't like the idea of their kids seeing what mine have and making them jealous, but I also don't want anyone there trying to keep them. Not today, home. You are not responsible for anyone but your own kids. How is the new wife with you? Is that relationship okay? Nope. At one time it was okay at first. Then after they got married, a fight over Christmas came up, and things have not been okay since. Basically, we have this thing in our city where they do a Christmas village, and you can test out some of the upcoming cool stuff, but you need to pay. They wanted me to pay for them to go as a family because I brought my kids. She expected I would say yes. I never got over that I didn't.